The devil's advocates whisper in the hall, where justice wears a mask and truth begins to fall. Every thread they pull, every lie they weave, in the courtroom's dance, who's left to believe? Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight. A photograph fades where the truth once stood, blurred lines between the bad and the good. The scales they tilt with every silver tongue, while the broken cry for a song unsung. Black robes sway like shadows on the wall, one wrong word and the mighty fall. Who's a sinner? Who's a saint? The jury's out, but the verdict's faint. Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight.
All right, everybody, welcome to a Crimes After Dark on a Tuesday evening. We're going to settle in nice and slow tonight. So I got to get a wave from backstage, make sure you guys can hear me. I'm sure that you can. Fantastic. Looks like I've got a full panel backstage, but we want to start a little bit slower and a little bit careful tonight. I got a couple of big topics. Many of you probably know, if you follow the Idaho 4 case, that Idaho State Police released 2,790 something photos in relation to the investigation of the Idaho 4, of which a lot of those photos were crime scene photos. Massive amounts of those photos are without bodies. One, I think they accidentally slipped through and left something in there. We're going to maybe talk about it, but they pulled the videos down. They pulled the files down for a reason. It may be because of one particular image that they let slip through. It may be something more. There may be more for whatever the case may be. The release was only out there, I think, for a few hours. A lot of people that went out there were people who were looking through the files when they lost access to the file. So they pulled the file. We did get the file. We have the file. We're going to talk about the file. We'll be careful. I'm going to do a gut reaction on how I feel about the one photo that may have slipped through. More than likely, we won't focus on it. My gut tells me it's maybe too much. We'll see. We'll see. But I want to tell you, as we bring the panelists up, just a reminder to everyone that this is a true crime channel. It's also after dark, meaning it's for adults. This is not a kid's show. This may be triggering for some as we get into it. We're going to start out light. We're going to start out getting some introductions and going. We're going to start out covering a rejection from the FBI, a FOIA request that I submitted, and the FBI rejected my FOIA request. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but that last part of that evening is going to become more sensitive in nature as we dive into crime scene photos that may be disturbing for some. So you can watch the first part of this show pretty safely. Let's go ahead and bring in our panelists one by one as they arrived, I think, backstage. So we'll bring in Dago first. Dago, how you doing tonight?
Forget about it. It's good to be back. I missed you guys. 2 days of this. What are you doing to me? It's like you give it, you giveth and taketh away. I don't. That's not fun. Come on. I love this stuff.
It is. I know, like, and you've been going mad all day about some of the stuff that we're going to talk about for the first time together. So I didn't get to see what you've covered on it, but I also did. I don't know if you know, but I did a members only live, and we talked for a few hours. I think, well, at least a couple hours on the pictures today as well as a members only live.
I'm sorry.
No, you were doing your own thing. So
this was my third. Actually, I was here. I did my show this morning, or I don't even know what time it is. I did my show earlier today. And then I jumped over to Truth Nation Uncensored for my friend Willie. And here I am tonight. And what the hell? Let's do another one after this. Who cares? You know,
I know. Why not? Let's just never shut off. Let's just go 24 hours.
24/7. Absolutely.
Thank you, Suzanne Sharp, for saying that we're becoming one of your favorite true crime channels. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Hopefully, we don't let you down when we cover some touchy subjects tonight. Some touchy subjects for sure. Let's bring Robin up on stage and see how Robin is doing. Robin, what's going on tonight?
Hello, good evening, gentlemen. I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
Living the dream. Yeah, we're doing well.
Yep, it's been an interesting one today, that's for sure. But it's good to be here with everyone. Hello to the den and everyone. So good to be here.
It was in my neck of the woods, by the way, it's freezing. And here's the thing that's cool. And so I'm trying to get trained up on the drone flying for my trip to Kentucky and all those different places. And so I'm flying my drone, and all the trees in my area are frosted white with ice. And there was fog hanging on the mountains. We have beautiful snow-peaked mountains with fog hanging around the base, which, by the way, technically fog is a cloud that is very low to the ground. And when you have a drone pilot's license, you need to fly 500 feet below the clouds. So you can't fly into fog. It's actually against the rules for FAA to fly into fog. So, however, I have a high spot in the city, or the little town I'm in, which was fog free, and I could see for 3 statute miles. So I ended up flying my drone over frosted treetops, looking at fog covered mountains, and it was amaze balls. Almost had another mishap with my drone. I really got to get experience with the drone, but we're all good. And
you'll get it.
So
you'll get it.
I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it down. Well, Robin, it's good to see you and the show. Let's bring 1-1 up, and then we'll bring up JJ, and then we'll get hitting it hard. So there's 1-1. I need to pull some things off of your face. I got to pull that stuff off your face. I can leave the parental advisory up because Dago is in a perfect position to be off-centered a little bit, so we don't block him with the parental advisory screen. So it's amazing. What's up, 1-1? How you doing?
Good. How was the den doing tonight? Dago, Robin, Boss man, long time no see.
Well, I mean, you were in the members only live with me going through the photos, and I know it's fun getting your perspective because you've seen plenty of crime scenes in your life, so you had some perspectives about the crime scene photos as well that we'll get into in a little bit. So looking forward to that. If you want to do a monologue for us, that's cool. Let's bring up JJ real quick first, and then if you want to kind of read us in, we can get on that. JJ, how you doing for this evening?
I'm good. What's up, DA, Robin, 1-1, Dago, Denizens, Meatballs,
Hello.
Mods? How you guys doing?
Good. Thanks everything me for the donation, by the way, tonight. Thank you for the support of the channel. Appreciate that very, very much. Yeah, we got a lot on our mind. I think you haven't even seen the crime scene photos yet, right? So you're, out of all of us, I think you're the only one on the panel who hasn't seen the photos yet. And so you're in for.
We saved them for you, though.
When I say I wouldn't say you're in for a treat. You're in for a discussion. You're in for a discussion tonight. I'll tell you that.
It's funny. Right after I spoke to you guys backstage, while I was sitting here, I went to Reddit, and people are going bananas on Reddit about the photo drop.
Sure. There's a lot. I have a lot of. I'm glad that I did it as a members only today because my first reactions, I would say something that was wrong, and then like 1,000 photos later, I'm like, oh, I was wrong about what I said earlier in the night. So that's part of the reason why I want to go through it before coming on with the public is I want to kind of get some of those mistakes out and not mistakenly say shit that some will accuse me of doing it for shock value. I'm not doing it for shock value. I'm literally telling you what I see. I
Right.
still have questions that I don't have answers to, and I probably will still talk about those questions I don't have answers to, but I try to avoid the clickbaity shock jock type first reactions and try to do that for members only so that we don't do it live and discredit myself as kind of that kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? So not to say that there's anything wrong with people who do it right and go live and don't overreact. I sometimes overreact. I get emotional, so I sometimes overreact to things. So that's how I police myself. All right, guys.
Ready?
Yeah, let's give us a reading.
Okay. Good night, Jackson, Juliana, and to my wife. Love you guys.
Very cool.
Is it good to be alive in the den on a Tuesday night? Here we go.
Oh yeah.
Always.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a place where certainty is dangerous and silence speaks louder than answers. This is Devil's Advocates, a show that doesn't rush to judgment, doesn't worship headlines, doesn't flinch when the story gets uncomfortable. Here, we don't ask what sounds right, we ask what holds up. We rewind timelines, we challenge narratives, we examine what was said, what wasn't, and what was quietly decided for you. Because justice isn't always blind. Sometimes it's distracted. Sometimes it's rushed. Sometimes it's confident and wrong. On this podcast, nothing is sacred. Not the prosecution, not the defense, not the version of events you were handed and told to accept. We explore the cracks, the inconsistencies, the moments that make people say, wait, that doesn't make sense. This isn't about taking sides. It's about asking the questions others are afraid to ask. What if the story is incomplete? What if key details were minimized, ignored, or buried? What if the truth lives in the gray, not the black and white? Because history is written by the confident, not always by the correct. So if you're here for easy answers, this may not be the show for you. If you're willing to slow down, listen closer, and sit with doubt just long enough to let the truth breathe, you're in the right place. This is Devil's Advocates. And with that, live from New York, it's Tuesday night.
Thank you. Oh, I'm so excited to kind of get going for tonight. I feel bad in a way for the panelists because when I wanted to read some of a letter that doesn't give a lot of space for you to talk. I will try to provide some space for you to talk about the letter and what you think after I read a few paragraphs. Then when we get into the photos, we will, I think, have more time to banter back and forth about photos, although I'll be kind of controlling the pace of the photos. Again, there's 2,797 photos that were dumped, one of which, like I said, maybe the whole reason why it was pulled. It may actually contain an accidental image of a victim. So on the positive side, I will tell you about this. For those people who are out there in the world who say nobody's actually in those photos, it's all a staged crime scene and there's never any bodies there, we may have seen accidentally part of a body, in which case it does indicate that there was somebody there. Like I said, we probably won't show that image. It's super hard to see anyways. So if we go by it in passing, you'll never have seen it anyways. You kind of have to know what to look for to see it. But we'll play that bait here when we get there. First, what I want to do is I want to talk about, this is pretty much going to be all Idaho for because we just got too much to cover. I had a FOIA request. That's a federal, Freedom of Information Act request, asking the federal government, the FBI specifically, to show us the files regarding to how they determined suspect vehicle 1 was a 2011 to 13 Hyundai Elantra, and then later determined it was a 2015 Hyundai Elantra, and whether or not they ever dealt with the issue of fog lamps and the idea that a 2015 Hyundai Elantra, as per Brian Koberger's car, doesn't have fog lamps, yet the vehicle you say is Brian Koberger's has fog lamps. Did you look into that? And is it in your documentation that you explained how it is that it has fog lamps on the car you say is Brian Koberger's when his car doesn't have fog lamps? That the FBI came back and told me they're not going to respond to any single thing I've asked for. And I want to share that with you and their exact wording. We've got lawyers, literally we have lawyers looking into the response that the FBI has given us to see if we have recourse to fire back on it. So I'm going to put it on screen here. Give me a second. And I'll do my best. I'm not a lawyer, but I will do my best to interpret for you what their actual exemptions are and why they're responding the way they do. So I'll do my best to be fair with it and show why they say what they said. All right, let's remove this and add this. All right, this is a copy of the letter that I received from the U.S. Department of Justice. So on behalf of the FBI record, this is, as you can see, it's for the FOIA request number, and there's my number in the corner. Subject, Brian Koberger, vehicle identification analysis. And this is their response to me. I'm going to try to zoom it in a little bit so you can see it better. All right. The material responsive to your request is being withheld in full. So they're basically saying everything you've asked for, we're rejecting. The material responsive to your request is being withheld in full, pursuant to, and they gave me all the reasons why they're doing it in the codes. They actually were kind enough to provide an addendum to this letter with those actual exemptions, what they're holding under. But there's some stuff to really pay attention to. The records on third-party individuals, that would be, I think, Brian Koberger, that you requested are categorically denied pursuant to FOIA exemptions B6, B7C, the 5 U.S. Code, section 5512, B6, B7C. Please be advised that you have not sufficiently demonstrated that the public's interest in disclosure related to the operations and activities of the government outweigh a person's privacy interest of an individual. While the existence of FBI records is acknowledged, the records are exempt from disclosure, as processing these third-party records would constitute an unwarranted invasion of privacy, personal privacy. So what that says to me is this. We're protecting Brian Koberger's privacy. He wouldn't want you to know about his vehicle, apparently. So to protect Brian Koberger, that's the only person I can think of is the person's privacy who they're trying to protect is Brian Koberger. And that they basically are saying, yes, we have the records that you're asking for, but that's an invasion of Brian Koberger's privacy, so we're not going to show it to you. Fuck off. Like, really? Really? I mean, let's take a look.
Crazy.
Wow. It's a fugazi.
How can that be a thing? How could that be a thing? Like,
ridiculous.
maybe I'm interpreting it wrong. What other third-party privacy issue can we be protecting? It's a person's privacy there.
Unless they're talking about, like they were doing in the documents, the reason why they were sealing everything was to protect probable witnesses and or possible alternative suspects or something, maybe.
They do kind of get it. They do kind of get into that. I'll show that in a minute.
Or maybe what you mentioned earlier, Lee, on the live. You know, you mentioned something, but maybe it's maybe Ann Taylor is potentially maybe it's something about the fog lights. You know, maybe she's actually. There's another
part. There's another part of the rejection. Yeah. So right now, I'm only focusing on the privacy issue. Brian Koberger's privacy is being invaded by talking. But you're right. Let me read another part of the letter, which gets into the really interesting part, I think, of their rejection. Additionally, the material that you requested is located in an investigative file, which is exempt from disclosure per, and then they give me the B7A exemption. We're going to show you why that's in there. Records or information compiled for law enforcement purposes, but only to the extent that the production of such law enforcement records or information could reasonably be expected to interfere with law enforcement proceedings. This is where it's going to get interesting. The records responsive to your request are law enforcement records. There is a pending, this is big, there is a pending or prospective law enforcement proceeding relevant to these response records, and release of the information could reasonably be expected to interfere with enforcement proceedings. What that tells me is they potentially know they're going to have a fight in court about the fog lights and about the identification of the vehicle. And because there's a pending law enforcement involvement in an investigation or something that's coming lawsuit, they can't show it to me. That's what it sounded like to me.
So the WSU lawsuit and or
Yep.
the leak investigation, or both.
Or both, right? I have to wonder as well. Has Ann Taylor already submitted a complaint about this? And because again, by the way, here's a nuance people we just were discovering today. I'm not a lawyer. I say this all the time. People need to understand something that we kind of really thought about today. There's a difference between an appeal and post-conviction relief. And what people don't seem to understand is Brian Koberger waived his appeals. That does not mean he waived post-conviction relief. And actually, the post-conviction relief part has more power to it, because it's things like, you didn't allow me to present alternative witnesses. You rejected the Franks hearing and didn't let me know that the vehicle couldn't have been his vehicle. That's covered under under the issue of post-conviction relief. Now, what's the difference? An appeal, basically, from what I understand, an appeal is basically saying, you guys did something illegal. The judge did something illegal, so therefore we're appealing the whole thing. What they're kind of saying is, well, this is my interpretation. Hitler didn't do anything illegal, but it wasn't fair. And so they waived the right to the appeal, saying, well, okay, it might have been illegal what he did, might have been legal, but it's not fair. And so therefore we want somebody to look at whether it was fair to not allow us to again, the judge could have ruled, nope, you can't do this. And he has every right to say you can't do that, but was it fair? So there's two different issues. What Brian Koberger did is waived the appeal processes, which is you did something illegal and incorrect, versus, and now he's saying, well, maybe you did something wasn't fair to me. It's not illegal, but it's not fair. And that's post-conviction relief. And so therefore, again, if Ann Taylor submitted something about the fog lights, maybe that's why the FBI is saying, sorry, we can't show you anything about the fog light, because there's pending litigation that's coming up on that issue.
Well, he has habeas corpus too, I think, is his third option. So
yeah.
There's definitely
and that's basically, who has the right to try him kind of issue, who has the right to detain him, who has the right to try him, what order did they follow the right procedures on the habeas corpus issue, or who had the body. That's what habeas corpus means, who owns the body. Anyways, and so there's a few other things in the letter. I don't think we need to spend a lot more time on it, but basically they tell me that part 1 of this addendum includes standard responses to any request made to them. Part 2 includes additional standard responses that apply to all requests for records about yourself. But look, here's the section that I thought would draw some people's attention. I'm not going to make a big deal out about it. So I highlighted the sections they stated very specific numbers, and apparently I'm zoomed out too far to show you the numbers. Let me see if I can get you the numbers here. Hold on. There we go. Now you can see on the side these numbers. And what I'm looking for real quick, listen to this. Part 2 is part of the thing they cited. Records, requests for records about any individual who's on a watch list, any individual who's in witness protection, witness security programs, or any person who's a confidential informant. So they cited that as one of the reasons for their exemption, is that it could possibly leads to somebody who's on a federal watch list. That's interesting in itself.
Interesting.
Somebody who's in witness protection. That's fucking super interesting, if you ask me. Or a confidential informant, and that's super interesting to me.
All 3 of them.
What was the one that it said about intelligence records?
Yes. Let me see if I can show that up here real quick. There was something,
it's up at the top there. I see it.
You see it right here?
Right there, yeah, intelligence records.
Congress excluded 3 categories of law enforcement for national security records. Why would a incel killing people in Idaho have anything to do with national security? So how are you hiding behind national security issues?
I have always wondered what the national security issue would be with this. I've always had issues with that, and that I think is probably one of the most important things right there.
Right. Well, and this might be the tell-all, a witness security program. The FBI can neither confirm or deny the existence of records which could identify participants in the witness security program pursuant to FOIA exemption, blah, 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 blah. This is a standard response and should not be read to indicate that such records do or do not exist. What's interesting, at the start of their letter, they said, the records you're requesting do exist, but we're not going to show them to you. A lot of their language says they don't have to tell you whether they exist or not. They're telling us here that the records do exist, but they're not going to show it to us. So It's pretty interesting shit. I'm having some lawyers look over it and kind of decide how to advise on whether or not we can respond to that and what the next step would be. You know, the other part that they mentioned is you haven't satisfactorily shown a concern, or the public has an interest in this case. So how do we do that? What number of people do I have to say question what happened in Idaho 4 that they think there's a public interest? It's like they're trying to say the public believes he's guilty. So what the fuck does you haven't shown that the public gives a shit. Everybody thinks he's guilty. So what are you talking about? So
ridiculous.
That's crazy.
It is.
It is.
Well, they'll use the sort of narratives that have been propagated so widely by the mainstream media and assume that, oh, well, look, I mean, this is what everybody believes. I mean, I don't know what you're complaining about. You know, this is the official story. And they have the critical mass of the mainstream media and all the people watching the mainstream media to try to brush away any questioning of that. And it's the oldest trick in the book. Anybody questioning the official narrative is a crazy conspiracy theorist.
Yes. In fact, we talked about that as a smaller group of our panel. We were talking about the fact that somebody said, oh yeah, ChatGPT was analyzing my numbers on my channel and said, YouTube has classified you as a conspiracy channel. And I thought to myself, how the fuck are we a conspiracy channel? But then it dawned on me, it's just what you just said. Anything that's not mainstream narrative is a conspiracy. If you question what the news tells you, you're a conspiracy theorist by nature. Because normal people believe what they're told on TV. Therefore, if you are questioning what you're told on TV, you're a conspiracy theorist. That's how they've labeled it. So because we're not repeating the narrative of mainstream media, we are therefore a conspiracy channel.
Well, that's how everybody gets easily dismissed in today's world, right? If we're questioning official narratives, even the most preposterous official narratives, if you're questioning it, you're a conspiracy theorist. And that's what happens when the CIA basically controls your mainstream media for decades and decades. You know, it's all about manipulation, and anybody questioning that is going to be pushed to the side and dismissed as a conspiracy theorist.
It's sad that we are, and again, I think someone like you, Joe, probably are aware of the historical origins of the term conspiracy theorist, where the government themselves basically coined the term as a way to basically dismiss anybody that questions things. Just call them a conspiracy theorist, and people will then dismiss them as tinfoil hat wearing. It's a propaganda thing. They've gotten into the minds of America to associate conspiracy theorists with tinfoil hat crowd, and therefore all you need to do is label them a conspiracy theorist, and people shut their minds down and stop listening to you. So
some might even argue that a certain agency that I love so much creates crazy off-the-wall conspiracy theories and puts them out into the public. That way they can easily dismiss any other theory as a wild and crazy theory. So you flood the zone with really crazy stuff, and then it's easy to lump those things together. And
and I don't want to pick on a conspiracy, so I'm trying to avoid saying it. But I thought the same thing. Like what I felt they took a conspiracy that most normal people on their face value would think that's ridiculous, and it became one of the biggest conspiracies talked about in the last 5 years. And then they went and said, "See, this is the kind of shit conspiracy theorists think. Therefore, That's what, and so they take just like you said, take a crazy conspiracy that no reasonable person would really think is possible, and then say that's what conspiracy theorists think. Therefore, if I say that you're a conspiracy theorist, they go, oh, you're the kind of person who thinks this, and it's whatever wild ass conspiracy theory they put out there to discredit you.
Well, we talked about this on Deep Devils. There's a pretty standard psychological mechanism that human brains use. It's a survival instinct where we lump things together that are presented in a close proximity. It's just one of the flaws of the human mind. If things are presented that may be completely unrelated, but if they're presented together, a lot of people, most people, will associate them even though they're completely unrelated. So people are questioning official narratives. These crazy flat earth conspiracy theorists, right? You try to just lump it in with something else, and that people will start to associate anybody who questions official narratives with whatever you name the crazy conspiracy theory. It's a standard psychological tactic.
And unfortunately, it works really well. A lot of people just fall for it. It's super easy. Anyways, what do you guys think? The FOIA letter, it's kind of like, I mean, literally, the FBI said we're rejecting every single thing you asked for, carte blanche. And by the way, they did say in the letter, they did say, if you feel that our rejection of your request is in error, you can appeal, and here's the appeal address, and here's the person you have to appeal to. So my intention is we're going to appeal, but we have to make sure that the appeal explains why there's a public interest, why protecting Brian Koberger's privacy probably isn't a concern in this issue, considering, after all, he pled guilty and he's behind bars. What does he have to care whether or not we believe his car was the right car or not? Like, how would they even argue that that's a privacy concern for him?
They didn't care about it, so why should we?
Right. Right. So we'll see if we can work on the language to get that appeal. And they did give us the, and now, I want it to be a friendly relationship. We'll just nice and kindly appeal and move to the next level. So we'll see how it goes.
Love letters from the FBI.
Love letters. I should have a new series, Love Letters from the FBI.
That's what Miss Potts calls them, her love letters from the FBI. She tried to FOIA stuff, and they said, "You're not getting nothing from us."
Yeah, they're just it's and by the way, like Moscow in particular seems to reject or I should say Pullman Moscow Police Department, MPD, seems to carte blanche pretty much reject everything you ever ask for or ask for ridiculous amounts of money. Idaho's a little bit more forgiving, and they'll actually work with you a little bit more. Pullman seems to even be more so. They're more responsive. So I've found so far Washington's pretty easy to work with, and they actually attempt to make efforts to give stuff. But like MPD just flat out might as well just have a middle finger right outside their front office. Like, fuck you, everyone. We're not talking to you. We're not going to share with you anything. You can all have a nice day and kiss my ass. That should be Moscow Police Department's official slogan on their outside of their police station. Kiss my ass.
Yeah. By the way, my apologies, everybody. I thought I was muted when I made that noise, so my apologies.
Yeah, you were totally not muted.
My apologies. I looked down, I went, "Oh, what a dumbass am I?" So sorry, everyone.
I let it go. I wasn't going to out you, but you outed yourself. All right, let's talk about the big one for the rest of the evening, which is the Idaho State Police photo drop. It was a PDF with 2,790 pictures in the PDF. There's no way in hell we're going to go through 2,790 and talk about each one. Even though I literally could probably talk about every page in this document, we're not going to do so. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it up on screen, and we're going to talk about sections. So I've got sections to talk about, and I want to kind of talk to you about this. The first one, and I don't know whether to put us in relief over here on the side or whether giving everybody as much real estate as they possibly. I don't know how much more real estate they really get doing that versus this. So maybe we'll just go with this. And I'll take the parental advisory off. against my better judgment, parental advisory is a kind of a thing here. Listen, this set of photos is going to be potentially disturbing for some people. We've talked about before when they released photos. Where's all the blood? This doesn't even look like a crime scene. None of this looks like a crime scene. This will look like a crime scene, in my opinion. It will look like a crime scene, and it's going to be a little graphic. There will not be bodies. That we got that redacted. There's reason to believe that there are bodies there in some of the photos. Maybe the bodies aren't there. Maybe they're redacting something else. But there's reason to believe that there are people there. So this is some of the first concrete, real, like, a crime actually did happen. Let me remind you, this is a true crime channel. And a true crime channel, we're going to talk about crime scene photos. It's part of what we do. This is not for sensationalism at all. This is for educational purposes and to talk about what you see and whether or not it's consistent with what we've been told. All right. First thing I got on the screen is it's kind of like a title slide of a series of photos we're going to see of a car, which they have the name K. Hogan on it. And I think it says BWE, what it looks like, but I think they're trying to say blue Ford Prius. Right off the bat, we've got a problem. There's no such thing as a Ford Prius. It's a Toyota Prius. There's no
Payne
Ford
has
Prius.
it. Payne drives them.
So, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll get past that. All right. Who's K. Hogan? Do we know who K. Hogan is? Do you guys know who that is?
No.
So what concerns me as we get into the photos now is this. In the corner, you see a Lyft/Uber sticker in the corner. So my first question is this the vehicle that supposedly picked up Kaylee and Maddie and another individual and drove them home? By the way, the date on these pictures is 11/18. This would be about 5 days after the murders, in which they have this vehicle potentially related to the crime scene in the sense that do you think this is the one? I mean, is that what your impression is, guys, is that this is Eric Gower's car, right? Eric Gower's car.
Yeah.
Right?
I would say that it has to be involved in.
It's either that or it's Molly who delivered
Well,
DoorDash. It's not
right.
Molly.
Well, I just want to know what planet that's blue on.
Yeah. I mean, it does. I can see it as a dark blue. I mean, the lighting sucks, but I can see it as a dark blue.
Well, that car definitely showed up on the 1112 camera footage a few times, and I think it was implied that it was Gower's car.
Okay, good. Mama J, I think, has the answer. Kay Hogan is an Idaho State Police forensic person. So it's basically they're the ones that's submitting the photos.
Thank you.
That would make total sense. Thank you for clarifying that. All right. License plates redacted. I'm going to go through it fairly quick because there's not a lot to it, but they got the license plate redacted. But let's take a look at what we see inside the car. They've got pictures of like the lint roller. You've got sunglasses and something in the cup holder along with some chapstick. I noticed that the seats, oops, I'm going backwards. The seats seem to be brushed. So
they were.
Did they
vacuum
it?
They vacuumed for DNA. Yeah.
That's what I assumed as well, that they vacuumed it for DNA. We going forward? Yeah. So we're just going to scan through the vacuum of the back seat as well. Again, now, could the driver have vacuumed their own car before picking people up? Sure, but people were sitting in it, right? Because again, for those who remember the story, Eric Gower should be driving. Kaylee was in the front seat with him. Maddie was in the back seat with another individual. I think someone told us that individual's name the other day or on the members only live tonight. I forgot her name, but she wasn't one of the house guests.
Lakeland.
It was,
Lakeland McCall.
Lakeland. Yeah. All right. So then they're going to open up the trunk area of this car. They got something redacted. That's the same thing with the chapstick and the sunglasses, but there's something underneath the sunglasses they don't want us to see that's redacted, maybe some personal information. Again, some stuff that's in cubby holes. And then it gets kind of interesting. Got some cleaning supplies and stuff back here. This is kind of interesting. They got a black stocking cap that they highlighted and took a picture of. Now, here's the joke we made on the members only live. In here also is going to be a glove, a black glove. In fact, I'm going to show it to you. There it is. There's a glove hidden under the seat. wedged in. So they pulled it out and they took a picture of the glove. Now, here's the thing. If it's Eric Gower or any fucking other human being in Moscow, Idaho, it's winter. And of course you're going to have gloves and a black hat. If you're Brian Koberger and you got gloves and a black hat, you're a fucking murderer. And that's proof. There's your gloves and your black hat from the crime scene. So
Well, you know,
just keep that in mind about framing.
you know that glove though, I wonder, DA, because they found by the garbage can another big black glove, just one. And there's only one glove in his car. So I just wondered, is it his maybe? It fell out of his car?
Well, and is it a different glove than the polar glove that was found in the parking lot? If you're talking, so you're saying they found a glove down by the dumpster?
Yeah, I didn't know if it was the same.
No,
I never saw an actual photograph of the other one, so.
I did see it, and it was a Polar brand glove, and it was like a work glove. It's a different type of glove, so this would not be the
forget.
I mean, it's a good question, but it wouldn't be the match to this.
Yeah, those polar gloves are like those neoprene with the rubber, like real heavy duty.
Oh yeah,
cold weather gloves.
All right.
Yeah, this is just a hand warmer type thing. Now the question is, I don't want to nitpick this to death because we got a lot of photos to go through. The pink insert, does that mean anything at all? Did Eric Gower have pink anything? Was it one of the girls' gloves? Was it Kaylee's glove? Was it Maddie's glove? Is it Eric Gower's glove? Does the pink mean it's a girl's glove? I don't know. It's on the inside.
Well, it looks like a female styled glove for sure.
Yeah.
When I looked at it, just the style of the glove itself, aside from the pink interior, it looked like.
And I'm not showing it on screen. I'm trying to show back and forth the glove as we're talking about it. And there's the pink insert. That's all it is a pink insert. I got to say, if I found a nice pair of gloves and it had a pink insert, I wouldn't give zero shits. I'd buy it if it fit and it felt good. So, all right. So here's the crime scene house. Now, this is where things are going to start to get progressively more graphic. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, there's going to be blood all over this house. It starts pretty weak because it's just basically drops, cast off, things that are on the wall, and then when we get to the bedrooms, it's going to get pretty hairy. So if you are sensitive to that kind of stuff, check out later or leave and come to a different night because we're not going to do this every night. All right, so we're going to move through this. There, by the way, is a copy of the search warrant that's sitting on a step right there. And they zoom in on it. We don't need to read it. Here's the outside of the house looking into the kitchen from the back side where the killer allegedly came through that sliding glass door. You can see the blood running down the doorway outside on the back side of the house. And they're zooming in on the pictures. So again, it's a little graphic for those who are squeamish. And again, that does seem to line up with Xana and Ethan's bedroom. That seems to be right about there where you would see the blood come through. And by the way, just to let you know, watching the photos, if Ethan's bed was right up against the wall, there was a big pool of blood that we'll see right there. That would actually, in my opinion, be consistent with that much blood leaking out through the foundation right there. It sounds like you agree, Dago, right?
No, 100%, because they when they cut when he was killed, they cut through a main artery on him.
Yeah.
In turn, he was rolled towards the wall. My theory always was that he bled it. We know he bled out, okay? And all of that, because that house is such a wonky house, all of that blood pulled to one end of one part of the house and found a crack and went down through the wall. That's exactly where all that came from. So
yeah. All right, let's continue on with the photo observations. So outside of the house, people have pointed out they're looking for the ladder. I never did see the ladder in any of those photos. That was a subject of contention. Also, some people said that they thought that somebody jumped from the balcony onto the sofa out there. I don't think there's any indication the sofa has any marks of somebody having landed on the sofa. For those who are working through all the various theories you may have heard over the days. So here's more. And by the way, these photos are kind of jumbled together in no particular order with no timestamps in the corners.
Right.
So you see, we were looking at a nighttime photo. Now we're looking at a daytime photo. They're just kind of all lumped together all over the place. So there is some batches that seem to go to. Oh, by the way, here's a good shot that we focused on the live. This house is 1112. That's the one where you see the camera or hear the camera footage, and we watched camera footage and heard the sounds from here via that house. So for those who want proximity, you can see this lower, smaller house right here close by. Emily Alant had one time lived there. Her address. Some say Hunter and Emily were here in this house that night. They say they were at the White's apartments, which is somewhere across the street, not right here. So were they there in that place? That house right there that my mouse is kind of flocking around, I believe, is the Decour, Jack Decour and his roommate's house. This one down here is 1119 that you see at the end of the street with lights on and stuff like that. So I want you to pay attention for those who are thinking of alternative theories. Jack Decour's house, those who haven't ruled him out, people said, well, Jack Decour, we saw him go home and he never came back out of his house. Even Steve Gonzalez said there's a way to get to the house 111 or 1122 without being seen on camera by this camera. That's going right here through this walkway between you. If you go that way, there's no camera that picks you up. You can even probably come there, but for sure, right here through this walkway, you couldn't be picked up by camera and you could get from that house to that house. That's just FYI. I'm not saying anybody is that means anything, but that's how you would do it. And that's a good picture to show that. All right. Again, the couch doesn't look like anybody landed on the couch jumping from the balcony. For those who they focus a little bit on this piece of paper left on the ground. It looks like it's got Maddie Mogan written on the piece of paper, but it's folded in half. So you see Die Mogan. We freaked out on that. Does it say Die Mogan? No, it's probably folded in half.
We did the same exact thing.
Did you do the same thing?
Yes. And then I was like, wait a minute. D-I-E, Maddie. Okay. Come on, dumb.
Yeah.
Get it right. You know?
Which is exactly why I did that shit on the Members Only Live and not live.
It's really kind of ironic, though, isn't it? To see it like that.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
It is weird. All right. Okay. Now we're going to see blood. So there's a blood mark and a hair. They focus a lot on that. A bathroom door. One pointed this out in depth in one of our other discussions and lives and other conversations. It looks like the door has been busted open. It's missing the metal plate.
Yes.
I think one was talking about a document that actually talked about a metal plate, or not metal, but it said a plate on the floor listed as evidence. So did someone kick the bathroom door open at some point? Was the plate found on the door? And this is evidence that the bathroom door had been kicked open. It's food for thought. The problem is that they move shit around in these during this investigation into photography. They move shit from bedrooms into this bathroom. It becomes a big catch-all storage area. So who knows what the fuck happened and when it happened. And when that plate got missing, we don't know. Did that happen the night of the murders? Did it happen 2 years ago? If it happened 2 years ago, the plate's probably not still laying on the floor, I would argue. But anyways. Right. Did you have any comments about that? Because I know that was a big thing for you, one on the plate. Did you want to?
No, I mean, I think I spoke about it too with Dago as well. I think it would be possibly,
it would make some sense.
Yeah, it would be possibly consistent with some a thud or something that we hear. If someone is using like a real, I mean, his camera seems to pick up a lot of faint sounds. I mean, the only thing is if they were using that much for, I would think that we would see some kind of damage. It's a wood door. I mean, I don't know how crazy, I would think we'd see some kind of damage also to the door. Like you said, is there any proof that this, this could have happened 2 years ago? We're not sure, but just real quick, it does follow kind of like we mentioned in the live earlier. Again, if Dylan is saying anything truthful at all, she did say Kaylee went, she went to the bathroom or heard her in the bathroom crying or whatever it is. Could it be Kaylee locked herself in the bathroom and the perpetrator kicked the door in? It's believable. It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And DA, before you get too far away from it, someone in the chat mentioned something that I wanted to point out as well. I don't think that was Jack's house that you pointed out. I think his was to the left of that.
I was wondering if his was slightly to the left of it as well. And so just to go back here, right there. Yeah, his could be over further to the left, which would be more of like a 1-story instead of this 2-story right here.
It is more, quite a bit more to the left, yeah.
In fact, this is 1119, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so Jackson's
is directly across the street from 1112.
Yeah, right. I got the angle wrong. So I was wrong about that, and I hate doing that on a live. This is 1119. Jax is over here. Same thing though applies to this walkway. This walkway is still invisible from 1122 King Road camera. But yeah, so sorry, that is 1119, not Jack's place. Thank you for correcting that. And I feel like shit for having said that. So let's get on.
No reason to.
All right. So this again is a blood spot on the banister leading. There's a banister right here, a staircase leading down. There's some blood that they've highlighted there. We're going to see it closer and closer. So there's blood spatters on the wall. A lot of little photos like that. Here's a picture of that famous Pong game they were playing on the table, and pictures of the banister. You see blood right there on the banister, on the wall area that they're focusing on. Again, we don't know when that blood was left there. Could it have been there for 2 years? Was it from the night of the murders? We don't know for sure, so you can't say definitively. There's the steak knife that they've evidence tagged. There's more blood on the banister right there. Remember, there's unknown male DNA tested on the banister in one of the documents that they never knew who it wasn't Koberger and it wasn't the victims. It was unknown male blood B. They don't know, and D outside in the glove in the parking lot. They don't know who it belongs to.
They only tested 4 spots on the hallway up to the stairs. Why? Well, who knows?
Yeah, right. All right. We're going to keep stepping through. You can see they've marked a lot of blood marks. There's a lot of blood all over the wall here as well. All right. Looking into the bathroom area, this is that hair, that blood and hair on the wall I showed area right there, just different angles of it. This is what appears to be blood on the Pong table as well. Now the kitchen. Now the kitchen bothered us on the members only live quite a bit because they keep moving shit around in the pictures in the kitchen. At one point, the famous bag listing Xana's name from Jack in the Box is right behind the sink. At other points, it's next to the stove. At other points, it's back by the sink again. It's laying on its side. Like that bag fucking moves all over the place. It's the mysterious bag. Where exactly it was at what point is unknown. There's some blood. There's blood drop down here on the floor by the sink.
And why is that such a problem? The problem with this is that they don't label these. They need to label these photos. Obviously just like dump this shit out. We need to have they should be time stamped, so we know. Obviously, going through the rooms at a certain point, you have to move items. Like you're going to go through Kaylee's drawers. You're going to go through the closet. You have to move stuff to get to it, right? But they should be labeling it so we know what day, when this is done. And they just throw it at us.
Yeah. All right, let's keep moving through because there's a lot of crazy stuff to come. Again, blood on the banister there, which they're marking. A lot of blood spots on the door frames right there. And again, these are potential blood. They have to test it and make sure it's blood. They're interested in this can because there's a blue latex glove that they pull out of the trash. So they evidence tagged that. Blood on the table there. Little spots of blood everywhere, all over the place that they're picturing. Again, we've seen that wall before. We're going to get to places where we're going to slow down. I'm just going to step in quick. There's some blood down here by this table. So you see it there. They zoom in on it. Potential blood, at least. This photo confused me when I saw it as well. It still does. Maddie Mogan is listed on the top of this tote, and Maddie something is redacted here. So it can't be Maddie Mogan again. Why would they redact Maddie Mogan's name when it's up there in the corner? So what does it say right there?
It might be an address.
It could be.
Oh, yeah. Or a phone number.
Okay. Yeah. Good call. Look at Joe's keeping us on our toes tonight. I'm a jaded New Yorker. This doesn't look like a quadruple murder scene. Well, we haven't gotten there yet. You will see things that look a little closer to a quadruple murder scene.
Some of it does.
I agree.
Yeah.
Here's Kaylee probably Goncalves, and it's got an address, maybe a partial address or a phone number, 208. It looks like, but we don't get to see a lot of that. This is amino black running down the walls here on that blue spattering from trying to detect, whatever. Is it Prince blood or both that they're looking for with amino black?
Mostly blood.
Blood.
Yeah.
So we've got a redacted photo on the wall. There's some interesting things. There's really interesting things that they redact and don't show us. These, by the way, appear to be sections of the wall that they pulled out of the bedrooms where the victims were found. They've
Right.
marked sections of the wall with like bottoms so that it was along the bottom of the floor and over here top. And then they sometimes have east or west, or they'll have different markings. So you can see east or, yeah. Anyways, there's top, there's bottom. And I was trying to look. East and west is usually what it says. I don't know what these actually say. What the fuck does that say?
Which one?
Anyways, this one right here.
That I didn't even look at that last one. I was looking at it, but no, I don't.
Oh.
I don't even
Top
know.
down.
Yeah, this is the top. This is the bottom.
Right.
And usually it says north or south
south.
or east or west.
Northwest. I don't have no clue, dude.
Yeah, those I don't know. Most of them you can figure out. Look at all that blood. You see all this? What we're focusing on, is all the blood. All that's all. That's
There's
all
a
blood.
lot. There's a lot. Yeah.
There's east and west, top, bottom. It even tells you what room it's coming from, second floor. So these are a lot of blood on these walls. All right, let's keep moving through the photos. Pieces of floorboard as well. There's some evidence stuff like a lavender bed sheet that's been pulled and tagged on 127. So it's months after the crime. A black hoodie right here, a gray shirt and hair, gray shirt and hair from the second floor dryer. Crocs / shoes from second floor bathroom or I don't know, shower / laundry. So these are different things that they tagged up. We're going to move forward and get to some of the more interesting stuff that starts to talk about what really happened in the rooms, what we see from our outside perspective. Again, here's a top and bottom, south, north orientation of the wall section with blood. All right. Again, lots of amino black. This is from the upstairs. This is from the third floor looking down the stairs, and then you'll turn left and then go down another flight of stairs past Dylan's room on the second floor. That's kind of the orientation of that.
That
got a lot of
right there.
That puddle of bluing.
That disturbed me a lot. Yes.
That's
That's a lot of blood right there.
Yeah, is it blood though, or is it just them pouring a liquid trying to determine blood?
Well, there has to be a reaction for them to do the three process. So
yeah,
that's blood.
Yeah, and all this shit up
I'd love
here.
to know. I'd love to know whose blood. I would
Right.
bet. I would bet that it's probably Kaylee's. If I had.
Yeah, that's a good point right there.
I could be wrong, but I would just think. I think that's probably Kaylee's.
I really wish we could talk to a forensics person, because I just can't imagine that you're going to dump this stuff all over the place like this. I mean, how are you even deciding what, because this stuff can erase DNA evidence. So I would think you'd have to apply this carefully and not just dump it all over.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, it does look like we had a little bit of problem in the chat tonight. I expect the mods to take care of it. So I'm sorry that you guys had to deal with some shit tonight. I caught only bits and pieces of it, but if you had to bounce somebody, it is what it is. So I'm sorry that you guys had to deal with that shit, but I'm glad that you have taken care of whatever was happening, and apologize for that. All right. So continuing on. Lots of
and it didn't. I didn't see much. It didn't look like there was much in the kitchen. I know what does everyone else? What do you guys think?
The floor by the slider, and there's actually
by the slider, but I mean, it didn't seem like there was a lot.
Well, I saw something in the documents. They said there was some on the inside handle of the slider and on the back splash of the sink. But I noticed something when I was going through these earlier. If you get to the part where they show the microwave,
yeah,
there's something on the microwave. At least it looks like it to me. okay, that I was kind of shocked about because there's no amino on it, but it's there.
This looks like a print on the
Yeah, there's
on
a
the
lot of
sliding
prints
glass
there.
door.
Yeah.
Right. So, but again, I mean, everybody would have prints potentially on the door. I mean, people use the sliding glass door, so there's going to be prints all over that from
Right.
People who live there, from friends that come over. So print doesn't necessarily mean it's evidence.
Of course
But,
not. No,
but
not at
remember, it was deep cleaned. A week
Right.
all. Right. Right.
Now, here's what's interesting. Look at this. Even in this photo, look at how clean the counters look. Later on, we're going to see photos, and it's full of trash and stuff in the sink, and they just keep fucking with this crime scene. You don't know what order things are done in. They focus a lot on this little marking on the door.
Yeah, I don't know
on
what
the
that is
sliding glass
either.
door. I don't know what that is. It's like a Sharpie, but they apparently thought that it could potentially mean something, so they took a lot of pictures of it. All right, let's keep moving through so you guys can get to some of the bigger stuff. Look at the bluing on the floor. Look at how big that stain is right there.
That's one. That's where I think something happened at for some reason. I just have got that for a while. So
Do you see how big that stain is?
yeah,
It's huge, like a lake.
like somebody may have laid there and bled out.
Yeah. And there's a lot, like you said, on the kitchen. Look at all the blue, all that they've poured all over here.
Right.
And again, the whole countertop is cleaned off. Later on, we'll see it all dirty again. So this is their processing of the scene. There's been some marks of stuff there. We're going to step through it relatively quickly. If you want.
Hold
There?
on. Go back over where it shows the very front of the microwave. Okay,
one?
can you zoom in on that?
I can. It's not super great, but I will try. Oops.
What photo?
Zoom.
What photo number is that?
I can't. Okay, stop right there. Okay, we see the amino in front of it on the counter, right? Look right there, and you tell me what you see right here. And
Yeah,
on
right here?
the lip right there, does that or does that not look like dried blood to you?
Yeah.
It does. It does.
Unless someone had fun with some spicy sauce and
Right, I was going to say to play devil's advocates, right? It's the microwave, but normally you see that kind of bread splatter inside
On the
microwave,
inside,
not on the
right,
outside.
Right. But to me, I was sliding through these earlier and I was like, hold up. And I backed up and I looked and blew it because I blew mine. I could blow really big. And I was like, that looks like dried blood, but it's not sprayed at this point yet. So
Yeah,
that's a lot too.
it does.
yeah, it's a good observation.
It does
All right,
look
let's
like
keep-
dried blood. Yeah.
Sorry to stop you.
No, that's what we're here for. Is I already went through these photos with others, so I'm looking for what you guys catch that might be new or different, as well as showing you what I saw from earlier. Now here's where third floor. We're coming up. This bedroom right here is Kaylee Gonzalez's bedroom.
Yeah.
There's a refrigerator there. Maddie and Maddie's bedroom will be over here, but this is Kaylee's bedroom. I found it interesting. Maybe not everybody feels it as interesting as I do. And now we're going to jump back down to the kitchen. So here's Xana's bag, presumably in the kitchen. It's right by the stove in this picture. They've laid it on its side. They're going through the contents. It looks like there's zero food. I thought somebody said that there was partially eaten food in the bag, but this looks like it's completely empty. And then you step forward and look, now the bag's not there and there's orange juice containers there and stuff. And now the Xana bag is over here behind the sink. They just move shit around a lot, so you don't know what the fuck to think about that. But now the Xana bag is right there again behind the sink. Now we're looking in the bedroom again, or the bathroom. And again, the bathroom now is becoming a storeroom for all the stuff they're bringing out of the bedroom. So that's, again, they just kind of jumbled shit together. All right, we're going to keep going through this. More pictures of blood on the walls. Close-ups of blood on the wall. We're going to get to some more graphic stuff. So this is your trigger warning as we get into the bedrooms. It's going to be a little nasty. Again, blood on the banister that they're highlighting there. Back in the kitchen with markers for the spot on the ground. Okay, I think we're in Oh, not quite in the bedroom.
We're not trying to just find out how many mistakes the cops made. It's trying to go through this to get a narrative of a match,
Right.
see what actually makes sense. So, we didn't get to the bedrooms yet, but Dago he'll chime in too, and I could tell you, with the amount of injuries and stuff that was done to Kaylee and Maddie, it doesn't match what we find in their room. And you compare that when we get to Ethan and Anna's room, you'll see. So we're not.
I think we're gonna.
We're not going through it just to find errors that the cops made.
No. Yeah, you're missing the point if you think that we're just looking to nitpick on police. Oh yeah, we found these marks very interesting. Look at the diagonal mark of the blood, and then it runs down from here.
Right.
It's got a very, very interesting shape to the blood path.
Yes, sir.
And somebody in chat brought up something just a few moments ago. I was dealing with something else, and I didn't get to. They said that in a lot of the documents, there's no description of the blood where these photos are showing it. In a lot of instances, the documents are not listing. So there's a huge inconsistency right there.
This looks like a shoe print almost right there. Almost.
Yeah.
Sure does.
Yeah, definitely.
Or part of a palm print, like a upside down.
Well, it's kind of got that honeycomb look to it.
Yeah, it looks like a shoe.
I think it's
honeycomb's big. Yeah.
There were some boot prints in some of that earlier too. So
yeah.
All right. Now we're up in the bathroom. There's blood. They think up above the door of the bathroom. Again on the table. I'm trying to move us through kind of fast because we got a lot to cover and we still have to get there. Here's a diagram. This was interesting. I think we solved this on the Members Only Live. So these are cars parked outside. 2 cars with Washington State plates, 1 car with an Idaho plate, 1 with a temporary Washington plate, and 1 with an Arizona plate. And then we saw inside there was a driver's license from Arizona. And I'm like, who the hell's from Arizona? I guess Xana is from Arizona.
Xana was from Arizona.
Yeah, Xana.
This image right here, which you're not going to be able to see very well on the screen, is a depiction of Ethan and Xana. Xana being on the floor right next to, and this is where it's important. On the photo we probably won't show tonight, this shows a depiction of how close Xana is to a certain item in the bedroom.
Right.
And I think they fucked up in one of the pictures. I think you're right. Dago and his mods found it, and they're like, "Holy shit! Maybe that was not supposed to be on that picture," because it looks like you can actually see the person laying at that foot, and that depiction shows where they would be.
Right.
Ethan on the bed, slumped against the wall, kind of hanging over. There's a gap. Again, the blood pool on there would be consistent with what we think would be the blood we see on the outside of the house as well.
Yeah.
So that all matches up. All right. Dylan's room. That's Dylan's room that we're looking in there. So up the flight of the stairs, this is Dylan's room this way. So this is peeks inside Dylan's room. For some reason, in some of the photos, they feel the need to redact what's on her wall. In other pictures, we get to see exactly what's on her wall. It makes you wonder, again, because they're not giving you time date stamps. Did they take something off of her corkboard that they were hiding in the redaction? And once they removed it off the corkboard, we can see the corkboard? Or is it just...
They covered up the bushy eyebrows.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
And
Dago.
Yes, sir.
I was just gonna say you didn't. We talked about it in the live earlier. Maybe Dylan is the stalker of Koberger.
I mean, honestly.
So we're going to pay attention just for a moment. We were talking on this particular Dylan's room about the pink blanket with the hearts on it, which will appear here, but it's not here.
Right.
Maybe that's it there. They just move shit all over the place in this
film.
Right.
I don't know. But let's step through that real quick. So they focused on this moon journal and whatever here is redacted, a piece of paper that she's got written on, some things that they pulled out, stuff from all over her room. Her prescriptions are hidden, understandable. Stuff from her driver's license, understandable. Idaho driver's license, Washington. She's got both an Idaho and a Washington State driver's license. I don't know.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah. There's an Umpqua bank card. Understandable why they're redacting that kind of stuff. Look at all this. Look at all that. That staining right there.
That, in my opinion, relates to coming down from the 3rd floor to the 2nd. That blood going up the stairs there.
And what's weird about that? That's Dylan's room.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that amount. Look at the amount of testing for blood and shit. Now this is also where this right here kind of off is the latent shoe print that they found outside of Dylan's room. There it is. We're going to zoom in on it here. See, there's the latent shoe print with the kind of the triangular shape for the what was it? A Vans or a Converse?
The Vans. And see, that matches that last thing, that last where you said it kind of looked like a footprint and Joe thought it might have been a handprint. That kind of matches the same design.
Yeah.
And there was a Van sneaker just sitting in Dylan's room.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, that's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to keep going up the stairs. Maybe. No, I think we're still in Dylan's room. Yeah. This is still Dylan's room and stuff that are on Dylan's floor. Again, now all of a sudden we can see her corkboard. They talked about in Dylan's room, there was a lot of pictures of eyebrows. She would cut out pictures of eyes all over the place and had eyebrows. They didn't want people talking about that too much because it sounded like she had an obsession with eyebrows. And so she sees bushy eyebrows and like, well, yeah, she's kind of obsessed with eyebrows.
Right.
There's that pink blanket all of a sudden and all the jumbled around. Now it's in the middle of the bed. Where there's more interesting stuff coming. I know that this is probably not terribly interesting for you guys, but there's I was trying to see if we saw the Vans. Right here's a Converse, right? Is that a Converse?
Yeah, it's Converse.
All right, let's move along. Okay, we're gonna get out of Dylan's room here. Oh, I did notice Polaroid cameras, even the Kodak old-fashioned ratchet camera, the box cameras, is in the house in the pictures. I thought that was really interesting, considering there's reasons why it's interesting. We don't need to go into it tonight. All right, now. This, I believe, is Kaylee's bedroom.
Yeah.
Now, I found it interesting, and then it maybe changed my mind. They spend a lot of time photographing Kaylee's bedroom. They have a fuck ton of photos. And I find it weird, considering she wasn't killed in her bedroom. There's no blood in her bedroom. Why are they so obsessively focused on Kaylee's bedroom? I'll tell you why. I've always maintained early investigation was Kaylee was the target of this attack. Kaylee was the person they came for. Kaylee's wounds were worse than everybody else. Everything leads to Kaylee was the target. At some point, mainstream media narrative shifted and said Maddie was the focus. And it's on no fucking evidence whatsoever. Some kind of random speculation that maybe Koberger might have gone to a restaurant, maybe saw Maddie there, and maybe decided she was so beautiful that he had to have her, and that's why he came for her that night. And that apparently made sense to America over the fact that everything else indicates Kaylee was the target of this attack. I mean, I don't know why. Who shifted the narrative for mainstream media to say it's Maddie that was the target?
Law enforcement, probably.
It's horseshit.
And then at the very end of the case, after everything was said and done, they shifted it again and said they can't give you a target, that they believe that it was the house itself. Miss me with that bullshit.
Yeah, and thanks for the donations that are coming in. Funny, oddly enough, Everything Me was causing a little row, making my wife upset, and then he dropped some money and said, "Good night, Rhonda." So that's a whole thing. Thank you so much for the support of the show. My wife's probably pissed off, so I get to deal with that shit now for Rhonda being angry that she got. But you know, it came with the something. So thank you for that as well. All right, let's get into Kaylee's room and all the time that they spend in Kaylee's room. By the way, people pointed out Kaylee's bed is turned down as if she was sleeping in her bed that night. Yet, everyone says when the official narrative changed, it was this. Kaylee wasn't even staying at the house. She was staying at her parents' place for weeks beforehand. She wasn't even staying there. And when she was killed, she was sleeping with Maddie in Maddie's bedroom because she wasn't living there and wasn't sleeping there. And yet, Kaylee's bed is turned down as if Kaylee was sleeping in her bedroom. Let me point out another thing. There were rumors that the killer, even Dateline, I think, at one of their episodes, hinted that the killer may have been hiding for her in the closet of her bedroom, waiting for her to come in. Was Kaylee in her bedroom and kidnapped, grabbed, bound and gagged by the killer from her bedroom and then moved into Maddie's bedroom? That is very, very possible, especially considering the crime scene photos.
Right.
So again, here is so there's a closet and a window and a sliding glass window, and I'm trying to make sure I get the right one this time because last time I did this, I screwed it up and got the wrong one. There's Murphy's dog crate in the room. They spend a lot of time. We're going to go through a lot of they spend a lot of time photographing Kaylee's bedroom. And there's something that I really I on the members only live. Okay, here we go. This is the sliding glass area out to the porch, and here's the closet. There is enough space for a person. There was a rumor that somebody might have been inside Kaylee's bedroom closet waiting for her, and she was going to go to bed there. That's why her bed was turned down, and maybe she was taken somewhere else and killed somewhere else in the house. So again, if that's the case, why is that a problem? Why does it matter? Well, again, you've got a time frame in which you think one killer came into the house and killed 4 people on 2 floors in about 8 minutes. And now you're going to say he struggled with somebody and got them out of one room and brought them into another room and bound and gagged them. And that still all happens in 8 minutes for you guys. And then he stabs a couple of them 50 something times. And that still happens in 8 minutes for you. And then he gets out of his bloody clothes and gets into his car without any trace of DNA getting tracked in the house. And that still happens in 8 minutes for you. At what fucking point are we living in reality anymore?
And multi weapons too, and multi weapons.
Right. Mm-hmm. All right, let's continue through Kaylee's room. They spend a lot of time in Kaylee's room, photographing stuff. Now, here's another thing about Kaylee. Kaylee's got bank cards from all over the place: Wells Fargo, Numerica, multiple banks. That was one of, and that comes out in the documents too. Like the police are asking a lot of questions about Kaylee's finances and why she has so many bank accounts.
10 bank accounts, guys. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's Wells Fargo. We saw Numerica. There's several different bank cards that they're pulling out.
So Cassandra's asking, what's your reasoning why you think Kaylee was the target?
There's a lot of reasons.
There's a lot of reasons. There's the 2 primary ones. I'll try to be brief. The 2 primary ones, anytime you have a crime of passion where one person is brutally stabbed and disfigured in the face, like Kaylee Gonzalez was unrecognizable, it means somebody probably loved her and was angry and was taking it out on her, or hated her so much that they were taking it out on her. So it's a crime of passion. Crime of passion, almost always, you look to the jealous ex-boyfriend, the ex-husband, whatever. You always look to who is dating them that has that kind of anger towards somebody. So that's step 1. Step 2 can be the rumors about certain people ratting on people in the house, selling drugs, moving drugs to the house. And that, again, the snitch would get it worse maybe than everybody else. Yep. So those are just a couple of ways to look at that. There's some checks. They focus on this window where that air conditioning unit is another possible point of entry. What I thought was super interesting, and they focus on this Kindle reader that's got no battery.
Wow, they really did spend a lot of time on her room.
They spent a lot of time on her room.
Wow.
Why? Because they thought she was the target.
Yep.
They thought she was the target. They're processing her room more than anybody because they think she's the target.
And didn't she have in the previous dump? Didn't she have some kind of credit card reader too?
I don't remember. See, there's more of her cards in America.
She had a credit card reader in one of her drawers, which is interesting.
Look at how much time they're spending on Kaylee's room still.
Yeah.
And no crime happened there. No crime happened there, right? She didn't get killed in her room. So why are we spending so much time on Kaylee's room?
Good point.
They were looking for something. That's for sure.
I believe.
Now listen to this. This is super interesting. Who's watching Fire TV? And they've redacted this out. This is starting to be where I get. And then they take a picture at the back of the TV and they focus on the fire stick. and they
Yeah.
they evidence tag it. They also evidence tag another Fire Stick TV in the house. Down, guess where? In the room where Kaylee Gonzalez allegedly worked, in that basement room.
Oh,
Both
Yep.
of Kaylee's TVs, they've evidence tagged the Fire Stick on her TVs.
Oh,
that-
Right. You can get data off of those.
Yeah.
Is that nuts?
You can get
What is
app
oh
data.
wow. I
Right?
didn't get this far into the photos, Lee, but this is blowing my mind right now because of some other theories I had in the past that I won't get into right now.
That's
Mhm.
I think that's some shit. I think that
Yeah.
tells you something, right?
Yes, I agree with
On
you.
the same wavelength, Dago.
Yeah, that's interesting as all hell.
Mm-hmm.
It's the devil's in the details, is what I always say.
You ain't lying, buddy.
Yup.
More of Kaylee's bedroom.
Oh my God, they spent so
Yeah.
much
Look.
time in here. That's exactly what I believe it is, Lee. That they thought and I think they know she's the target. That's my opinion.
They 100% believed Kaylee was the target. She had the worst wounds of everybody else. Anyone in that law enforcement would have deducted, oh, she's clearly the target. Somebody
Yep.
fucked her up, right? Somebody did it would have been the obvious choice. And who would be the number one choice in that kind of crime? The ex-boyfriend. Jackie
Yep.
Coeur should
Yep.
have been and was suspect number one. He was listed on the document as a suspect in the case. So that part they got right, having him a suspect. Now, whether he was rightfully cleared or not, that's another thing. But they thought all along, I think they thought at the beginning, oh, this was possibly the jealous ex-boyfriend.
Right.
Wow. No comment.
Yeah.
More Kaylee's bedroom.
Wow.
Dago, we were talking earlier in the live. I'd have to go back through the document. So we were talking about the app. It seems that most of them had Apple stuff.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if they were wearing Apple watches. And
Kaylee had one. Kaylee had an Apple Watch.
And that would tell you where, a lot.
Exactly.
Somebody's asking in the chat for Dago to ask me to focus on the balcony photo. We will focus on that. I was going to focus on it for a different reason, but and the Fire Stick, someone pointed out, the Fire Stick has login information, right? That was on the TV. Who was watching? It's going to have all the profiles on that. Who logged in?
Yep.
And that's going to be an important key in the thing. But they've got it redacted, so we can't see who it is. Now here's her porch. I want to point out something really weird. So somebody was telling you to look at the railing to see where snow's been disturbed. That wasn't what I was going to focus on, but we can see some of the railing there. And they're obsessed. I swear they think the point of entry in the house was Kaylee's bedroom up here.
Yeah.
Because I think they said that her window was unlocked.
Well, if you base it off of Dylan's testimony, where Dylan said Kaylee went upstairs and then ran back down and said somebody's in the house, then that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there was rumors that the person could have been hiding in her closet. They even tried to suggest for a while that Koberger was there earlier and was hiding in the closet. It was Koberger. They even said, I think one of the Dateline episodes said, and Koberger hid in the closet. And I'm like, they had to move away from that because it didn't fit the timeline of when suspect vehicle 1 arrived. So how could it be Koberger? So then they had to back away from Koberger was waiting in the closet.
There was also another theory that there was somebody standing outside on that balcony when she went upstairs. They came through the door and went after her. So,
all right, let's keep going. Can I get join? Okay, are there some Robin? Can you or somebody can maybe one of our mods look in the? There's some questions coming, and I'm trying to move forward, and I didn't get to read them all.
Yeah.
Look at this. This is what I'm concerned about. Do you see this thing out there on the ground that's got a USB-C cable? It looks like it's connected to it.
I'll tell you what that is, Lee. That is the plug-in for the lights that are out on the balcony.
Is it like a motion sensor thing or a light?
It's a USB plug-in for those lights that are out there. They have a like a dial, like
sensor?
a setting on them. Yeah, and I figured that. I looked into that a long time ago too. But yes,
I was worried about like what is that? What is that cord that's coming? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it took me a minute too.
Do you know what they're talking about when they ask you to look at the snow disturbed on the railing?
Tomboy mentioned that when because her and Tandy have been going through these for a while, when they went through it, that it looked like the snow around the top of the railings was disturbed, as if somebody may have crawled over top of it.
Right, and there was the allegation that somebody took a ladder and brought it up to the 3rd floor and came up over the railing into the back.
The ladder. There's a ladder at the front of the house that's still sitting there. I believe that they believe some people have said that they thought they moved the ladder from the front to the back, climbed up there, and then left and put it back. You know what I mean?
All right. Let's keep moving because we're running out of time. Well, we're not running completely out of time, but we're still in Kaylee's bedroom. No murder happened here.
Yeah, they thought for sure she was the target.
Candace has a question. Yeah, you're correct. Why not evidence tag the smart TVs too? Yeah, smart TVs also have apps.
Exactly.
They should have. You're right. But how
They're
many other
only
things?
They're only interested in Kaylee because they think the whole thing was around Kaylee.
And I'm not sure that they still don't think that, to be honest with you, for a reason.
The Fire Sticks are important because they have all kinds of data you can download. They have passwords. They have like you're watching history sometimes and things like that. So that's why the Fire Sticks could potentially be really interesting to them, to the investigators. So
and they
there's
found
a lot
one.
of
They found one in Koberger's apartment attached to his TV as well.
So could the but the smart TV could have just as much info as well.
Oh yeah.
I want to address this. I want to address this comment not to attack this person, but to just tell you how I understand. Every law enforcement detective looks at the multiple homicide for the types of injuries to determine who was the target. So I disagree when you say, I don't think it's important to know how. Yes, it is. Who got the worst injuries and where they're at tells you a motive, because people kill differently. People who are ashamed of killing certain people will cover them up with a blanket, for example, because they're ashamed of what they did afterwards. It's all into the psychology. So how they were killed
100%.
Important.
100%. I mean, you got four people who were killed, right? And most of them have defensive wounds and different stabbings and stabbed in the lungs and different things. Which one of the four has vast different injuries than the rest? It's killing. So yes,
and that's same with like EMS when you get on a scene. When you look at the stuff, we look down and go, well, that was we know what happened here. That's how you tell. So you have to pay attention to that stuff.
And so I want to make sure people understand we're not doing this for sensationalism because we just want to get off on talking. Like, it does matter. It matters what order the bodies were killed in. It matters whether the bodies were moved and staged from another place. It matters who got the worst. All of that matters when trying to determine motive and what would happen. Because somebody could have been the primary kill and everybody else could have been collateral damage because they were just nearby.
Purely educational. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going. It's gonna get worse pretty soon. All right, now it's gonna get worse. All right, we're gonna move in. We're gonna move into Xana and Ethan's bedroom. It is graphic, so if you have a problem with graphic, again, you're not gonna see bodies, but it is graphic. So I warn you right now that there's a lot of blood, and we're gonna talk about it in detail to talk about whether that the crime scene is consistent with what they told us happened. Right? That's what we're going to do. So if you can't handle that kind of thing, don't go there. All right, here we go. So
thank you, Andy.
Lots of stuff all over you can see blood all over the floor here. I'm trying to keep moving. All right. So this is the bed allegedly that Ethan is laying on. Maybe he's there in this picture and they've got it redacted. There's a lot of blood splatter on the wall behind. There's a white sheet tapestry that didn't seem to get any blood on it, which is weird, but there's a lot heavy. What one and I think is heavy arterial blood, like a really deep vein cut that bleeds out right up against the wall and is consistent probably with it running down the side of the house, outside the house. So that all makes sense and looks like the crime scene to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's a rug here. We're back outside the bedroom. We're going to get back in the bedroom here in a bit. Okay, so here's looking out into that bedroom from the beer pong table. That's looking, again, Xana is laying right there on the floor. This is what Dylan would have seen when she said, I thought my friend would just passed out. I saw her laying on the floor. That's the view she would have had of Xana laying on the floor.
Oh, right there. That does match. Now that I'm looking at that, Lee, that dresser thing we were talking about, it is straight on ahead now. So that does.
Oh, it is. It is. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I figured it out. Yeah, you're right.
I couldn't remember when I looked at it, but now I see it. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Moving into the bedroom some more. And the lighting changes because of white balance and flash and all that stuff with that. But we're going to get into some graphic stuff here in a minute. All right. Let's go So again, this would be where Xana's at approximately. This is where Ethan's at. Lots of blood here, tons of blood over on this, tons of blood over in that. We're gonna get into here. And look, there's a chair here, or of some kinds, like a stool that has blood on it, blood on the wall up here. Again, there's blood here on this pillow. This is where Xana's body is at, we believe. We're going to keep moving through. Ethan's body blocked here. Wall part, again, Ethan's body blocked in the pictures. Stuff on the, so they got redacted on the things. Blood pooling on the floor here. Again, Xana's here. Ethan's up here. Lots of blood here. We're going to get some really good pictures of this blood here in a minute and kind of point out some things. Again, very graphic, so I apologize for that, but it's a crime channel, so this is what's going to happen.
True crime.
All right. So here, by the way, is several things. This we believe was a body bag. Xana was here in this general area. This is a body bag, we believe.
It is.
We've seen it in other photos. And so the body's been moved at this point. She would have been around here with all of this. There's the body bag again, more blood. Again, she's been moved out of the scene, so she would have been there. So we're looking at the blood, the aftermath, which again means when they moved her, did they smear things like this? At this point, you don't know if the smear scenes can tell you that much because the body's been moved. We do have one and I had a lot of fascination with this table right here. We're gonna get to that in a minute.
Yeah, I have some thoughts about that.
The table.
Okay, good.
There's a lot with that table.
Yeah.
There's a smear mark. Look at that smear mark. It goes side. It's like a swipe.
Yep.
You see how it swipes across there? I don't know if you can see it real well on the screen.
There's a lot of shit that went down in this room, you guys. I'm telling you right now.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
And it's more consistent with what they told us happened, right? Because there's a significant amount of blood in this room.
Yes.
There's no way that someone right down the hall wouldn't have heard what was going on.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Again, defensive wounds. No. They were fighting back. They had to have been screaming.
How about right? How about right underneath it, JJ? Just right underneath them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's just crazy, man. It's just
look at these marks. As one and I were saying, these marks are not there. It's not spatter and it's not cast off. It's more like rubbing against it, like you've got blood on you, and it's touch marks. It's
finger marks, all sorts of
finger
stuff.
Marks. Yeah, it's a lot.
I think someone's struggling to get out of that bed.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's some spatter there, but there's a lot of movement going on right there.
Yeah,
too.
this is all spatter. And by the way, this is graphic. It's crime scene. There's a difference between cast off. What is cast off? So if you're stabbing someone and you pull that knife back and it's coated in blood, it's going to fling blood through the air. That's cast off. It's going to create a certain look. The spatter indicates blunt force trauma. It's smashing someone in the face and blood spattering, or they're already bloody and you're hitting them with something and it's blood spatter. That spatter, the little flecks are more indicative of spatter, whereas the lines and stuff like that are more cast off.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And usually you'll see like an arc. You'll see,
right.
It's not always straight line. You'll see like an arc, and then you'll see where gravity tends to pick up
100%.
Drop down.
Yeah. So this is somebody asked what room this is. This is Ethan and this is Xana's room. Ethan didn't live there. Ethan was the boyfriend who was there that night. So this is Xana's bedroom where Ethan and Xana were found.
And there was, if you look around the room as it sits right now, there was definitely like a lot of movement, meaning there was some fighting going on in that room.
Yeah.
Yep.
And by the way, this spot they focus on a lot, and I also find this really interesting.
I believe that looks like a footprint.
It does. It also looks, well, let's just get in. They're going to zoom in. So it actually looks, I don't want to get too graphic. There's a lot going on. That's a pattern of things. And they focus on it a lot. They get measurements out.
It could be an imprint from the body. Okay.
Yeah.
And they leave.
Yeah. Like if a face was laying on it, or if a hand was laying on it, left a print, they could have done, they could have done something with that. Here's some, again,
I'm gonna
This
mute.
is
we're getting close to that one picture. So depending on what your decision is,
we're
you
actually
need
past it.
to-
We're actually past it.
Oh, we are. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're past it.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so here, this is indicative, like you said, Robin, to somebody struggling and grabbing onto the rail with a bloody hand.
Yep.
This would be the kind of thing
Right.
you would see if somebody's trying to reach for the thing. There's a lot of indication that people that they were struggling or and again, if they're struggling, why does it matter? Are we just trying to be graphic or are we pointing out?
No.
If you're alive and fighting back and struggling and grabbing onto furniture, that's noise, that's screaming. It's not something you just go, oh, I don't, Dylan just slept through it because they were all sleeping. And the guy must have, Brian Koberger must have stabbed him in the lungs. And so they couldn't breathe. So there was no screaming. Like, come on, people. Come on. Anyways. So there's blood on the door. What's all that black around there? Is that testing for prints or is that the way the door was? I don't know. There's a lot of black on that door. There's blood on the napkin, blood on the floor, passwords. Looking underneath the bed, they pulled up the mattress. It looks like there's a stain on the underside of the mattress and it's soaked through. Do you see the blood there?
Yeah.
So the blood soaked through the mattress all the way through and stained the wood down here. They pulled the bed away from the wall. This is where a lot of the blood came, and it's very, very thick. Again, this is very morbid, but it's very thick blood here, and it's right along kind of like that wall seam. And this is, again, in my unprofessional opinion, this is pretty consistent, I would think, with arterial bleed, a very heavy bleed. Again, more of the bedroom. This is confusing, this image, because the body was right here and it's pristine in this picture. So when the hell was that taken?
Mm-hmm.
That's confusing to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There couldn't have been a body there when this picture was taken.
Right. And that's, I don't understand because that's, I guess, where the carpet, I don't get that.
Well,
I don't get it either.
I do know in the documents, it does say that a lot of the furniture and stuff was moved. And when before the forensics team even got there. And so what they had to do was they had to replace all the furniture and stuff to approximate locations.
Yeah.
But that doesn't explain why that rug is so clean.
Right.
Right.
I heard that.
Right.
I heard that too, Robin. Yeah. That rug is super suspicious.
You got blood
Yeah.
spatter.
There should be blood.
Again,
there should be a ton of blood.
Things are moved all over the place. This whole thing was over there by the bed earlier. Now it's over here and it's still covered in blood. And things get moved around and it fucks with the crime scene for us to be able to understand what happened. But regardless, this is the key takeaway that we had on our show. That room is relatively consistent with Ethan and Xana dying in that room. In fact, one of the things that one said, and I hope he doesn't have a problem with me saying it again, was he's entertained the idea, like a lot of people, that maybe Ethan was killed outside the house, but looking at the crime scene photos, it looks more consistent that Ethan was killed there in that bed like we thought, and got a deep arterial cut in the leg and bled out there at that bed, like they said, but there's a lot of rumors that Ethan was attacked outside and he was killed outside and then drug into the house. But that scene it seems consistent with being killed in the bedroom. Unlike, in my opinion, Maddie and Kaylee's room does not seem consistent with them being killed in the bedroom, in my opinion. But especially considering the amount of injuries they said Kaylee had. This is still inside Ethan and Xana's room. Looking in through there. They're focused on that red object. I don't even know what that really is. In the sake of time, we're going to move. And again, now they got the Amina Black on the floor testing things, prints and stuff. This looks like fabric to me. That looks like a fabric pattern, like jeans or something like that to me, or a blanket. I don't know, but it seems like it has that fabric look to it. Oh, shit. I'm not showing them.
I was just going to tell you. It's
like nobody's saying it.
I was just going to say I was dealing with something else, and
I'm going to go back because nobody yelled at me and said, you're talking about shit that we can't see. So anyways, there's the Amino Black on the floor. And there's, again, the patterns that look like cloth or jeans, clothing to me.
What is that still Xana's room?
Yes.
Okay.
I think this is that circular pattern we saw
Yeah.
earlier that was blood, and there was another spot. I think all that's been
Yeah.
covered now in amino black. But all right. I'm going to try to get us now to Kaylee and Maddie's room, or Maddie's room, I should say. There's a blood spot that kind of looks like a smiley face, but I don't think that was intentional. I think it's just the way the blood dropped there, but it's interesting. Look at the macabre scene on that shit. I mean, that just looks like a freaking war zone. All right. Again, for those who want to see the whole pictures without commentary, those are available online in various places. We can also probably make it available. On our Discord channel, we have an area for crime scene photos that's locked down. We might put it there because it's graphic, although we're showing it on a public live right now. But again, that's where Ethan would be. All right, here's underneath the bed. See all the blood that ran down the wall? And there's thick blood underneath here. Again, this would probably be consistent with the blood that you see on the outside of the house, in our opinion. See how thick it is? Very, very thick blood right there. On the door. So I know that some of you might want to really look at these pictures and make your own conclusions, but we have to, for the interest of time, move through it and move up to the other room. Lots of marking of stuff on that area. By the way, I'm showing pictures, right? You guys are supposed to tell me when you don't see my pictures.
We see
You
it.
guys are so quiet. And again, they really
Just watch
focused.
it.
I found this interesting, and they took a lot of pictures of that. A
Yeah.
lot. I don't know what this white thing is here. This white thing bugs me. It's bugged me for a while. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
I mean, that round spot could have been the back of somebody's head, you know?
That's what I was wondering, or something was sat down, like a canister that had blood on it. I mean, it could be a lot of things, but it means something, right? And so I don't know. And there's a hair in it. See the hair that's running through this that you can kind of see in the pictures? I don't know. Again, maybe on your smaller screen you can't see it as well, but all right. Wow, there's a lot to this bedroom, and we're not even up in the other room. Let's get up to the other room. And that's outside the door. At least for those people who say, look, it doesn't look like anybody died in that house, you might have a different opinion now. All right, let's move up. Come on. Blood drips from outside the room. Looking in the closets. I know I'm going through really fast. I really want to spend some time on Maddie's room, so we need to get out of Xana and Xana's room here. You guys are so quiet, man. What's going on?
It's still I mean, saw him earlier, but it's fascinating, and not in a morbid way. It's sobering, but it's important.
So again, there's differences between spatter and cast off, and you see all kinds of different things. They tell, to a forensics person, this means everything. This tells you what happened, time of death, all kinds of things. It tells you a lot based on that stuff all over the wall. You can tell a lot, whether somebody pressed against the wall, touched the wall with the hand, whether it was just cast off from swinging knives, or whether it was blunt force objects that were hitting people. All of this stuff tells a story. We're going to keep going through this. Am I at a right zoom level, or did I screw with it? No, I'm good. Okay. All right. I really am trying to get us out of this bedroom.
One of the things that I've been thinking of this whole time looking at these photos is like the amount of time that the crimes allegedly happened in. It really makes me think about that, because a lot of damage was done based on what we've heard, and now you see the amount of blood. And Brian Koberger pled guilty, right? But someone, in my opinion, I've said this all along, somebody with no history of violent crime, it's highly unlikely that they just commit a brutal crime like this with nothing in their history pointing to violent crime, because any forensic investigator, forensic psychologist would say, and has said countless times, crimes escalate. People that engage in crimes tend to escalate over time. So,
Right.
and this was a murder that was allegedly planned according to the mainstream narrative, and carried out with a plan, hence why it was supposedly carried out so quickly. Well, somebody with no history of violent crime, it's highly unlikely, not my theory, that one person with no connection to other violent crimes would carry out a quadruple homicide this brutal, especially having no connections to the victims, right? Because the more personal and violent the crime, typically indicates that they knew the victims.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that
Yep.
this is just the stuff that's coming to mind as we've moved through these pictures. It just doesn't add up with forensic science.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot of things that don't make sense.
Pattern
for sure.
of behavior. Yeah.
All right, let's get into Kaylee and Maddie's room so we can have a chance to look at that. I want to say you've seen now how bloody Xana and Ethan's room was. Now, keep in mind this. Kaylee was stabbed more and was unrecognizable. Officers, and literally the way it was described as officers didn't know what they were looking at when they saw her. They couldn't even tell exactly what they were looking at. It was how badly she was disfigured. So when you look at the blood compared to Xana and Ethan's room, tell me whether you think that's the same type of killing that happened here. It is going to be bloody, but is it to the extent that they told us Kaylee suffered? That's the question. All right, so this is Kaylee and Maddie's room. That's where they were on the bed. You do see blood on the wall, right? On the walls.
And I see the chats going off right now. And the question that I pose to the chat is, who do people think, in light of just using the standards of forensic science, would carry out a crime like this? You have to, all the things we've talked about, there are more plausible scenarios, far more plausible than what the official narrative is. And when people always say, like, oh, he pled guilty. Well, that raises the question, if he wasn't the killer, why would they be lying about so many things? Right? In other words, rather, let me just say, if they're railroading him, a la the book Framed, why are they lying about everything? Why do they need to railroad?
Why is
him?
the important part? Why are they lying?
Right.
Why would they cover it up? Why would they?
And
lie
I
about
only
it?
brought that up because someone in the chat was like, you guys aren't talking about the obvious. And to me, the obvious would be what DA has been saying for a very long time, which is somebody close to the victims. That would be the obvious. That's not even based on our theories alone. That would be based on the top forensic experts. Period. It's not even up for debate. So the question again goes back to what we've all talked about and theorized. Why all the inconsistencies, and what would they be covering up? So, and I know that brings us into a circular type of thing, but if people are questioning, like, we're avoiding the obvious. Well, we've talked about a lot of different scenarios, but I'm open to hearing anybody's ideas and what they believe is the obvious thing that should be discussed.
Yeah. Well, let's get through. Well, maybe we can have more of that discussion at the end. Let's get through the bedroom photos of Kaylee and Maddie, and maybe we can have that more bigger discussion too. Again, you're starting to see, but this room still, in my opinion, is a lot less blood comparatively than what you saw in Xana and Ethan's room, and yet Kaylee had the worst wounds of everybody. By the way, here's the mysterious knife sheath everybody's been waiting for. So there's the knife sheath under a blanket in this photo. They'll focus in on that knife sheath in a moment here. So there's a more smears. This is the most interesting pattern of all, about what caused that pattern right there. But we'll get to that in a minute here. A lot of, again, splatter or spatter seems more indicative of blunt force trauma, I think, than cast off like this, where you have lines of movement, things flying through the air, stab motions and stuff like that. Just again, from I'm not a forensics guy, but I read a lot of true crime stuff, right? So there's the knife sheath, the pristine knife sheath. That I swear this crime scene does not seem indicative of the type of brutality that we've heard.
Not with the injuries that Kaylee suffered from. I mean, it said her face was bashed in.
Right.
She would be bleeding like everywhere. There would be blood pouring off her face.
Yeah.
Yep.
That little mark right there is interesting. And then, I mean, that's interesting. A lot of these things I'd like to hear a forensics guy or woman really break down what they are exactly. So up underneath the bookshelf again, that looks like a cast off. So that could be a upward motion and maybe flinging up to the. I mean, I don't want to get super graphic, but just trying to make sense of whether or not the crime scene fits what they said happened. Redacted pictures. We don't get to even see who was in that photo apparently. Cactus bar. Some more stuff that's redacted. That sheet, I'm telling you, I don't see how Kaylee's wounds are indicative for the relative lack of blood on this room.
So do these photos tell more of a story to you, or could they be part of a setup? So I don't, from what we see here, I don't believe Kaylee was killed in that room.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, they wanted to make it look like Kaylee was sleeping in the bed there with Matt. I don't believe, could she have been there and woken up and then ran down? I don't, based on the injuries that we know from the documents, I don't believe Kaylee died in that, was killed in that room.
Yeah, I agree.
And keep in mind, I've said it a million times, but it just, we don't seem to have the answer. Cross-contamination would tell us everything. We should know if it's one killer, you'll find Xana and Ethan's blood up there in Xana's, in Maddie and Kaylee's bedroom. If it was the other way around, you're going to find Maddie and Kaylee's blood down in Ethan and Xana's bedroom. If it's one killer, the hallway, whether or not the blood going down the staircase is all Maddie or Kaylee, or if it's all Xana and Ethan, we'll tell you what direction the killer came from which room.
Right.
Like it would tell us everything, and yet they haven't told us any of that.
Right. And I think they know, and I believe that they know. ISP, I believe they know when Ethan and Xana got home, because they make in the documents they're making such a big deal how they were trying to contact the ISP thing with the router, and a lot of, if you have Wi-Fi turned on your phone, even if you don't have the password, it's going to log. There's a log on the router that's going to keep track that you tried, that someone tried to make an attempt. So if Ethan and Xana, whenever they came home, I'm sure that they have the Wi-Fi password, right? So we should know. They should know exactly. I mean, it might not pinpoint, oh, they were in this room, they were in that room. You would know at the very least, they were in the surrounding area of the house. Maybe they're
part of me
door,
Part of me thinks the reason why we don't hear about cross contamination and which blood was found from the victims in the other rooms is because it's possible they know more than one person was in the house and the killings were done by multiple people on multiple floors, and they for some reason need to stick with the narrative. One guy did it, he did all the murders by himself, and so they don't want to get into the details about well, if one guy did it, how come this doesn't happen? And they don't want to have to get into it, so they just don't explain it because they want to stick with the narrative. One guy did it.
But they even gave it, even some of the info, they don't want to tell us, but they can't escape. They gave us some info that they know. I mean, they recovered there's unknown male DNA on the stairway going up. That doesn't match Kohlberger. It doesn't match Kohlberger. It doesn't. I guess it doesn't match I guess it doesn't match Jack D, right? Because they tested his DNA or whatever.
No,
it doesn't match, and we know, and it doesn't match Ethan, right? So
no, I honestly don't believe they tested it against them because their DNA would be in the house. So I don't know that they would have. I don't know that they would have tested it again. They only tested it against the 4 alternate suspects that Ann Taylor presented. Ann Taylor, by the way, didn't list Jack DeCour as an alternate suspect. So they didn't even. They only tested those samples during the 4 people, and those were excluded. And again, like you just said, what they failed to mention is Brian Kohlberger also was excluded as a contributor. So it wasn't his blood, which means some other male bled all over that scene, and they're just saying, well, it's not Kohlberger and it's not anybody else, so it's another perpetrator.
Right.
That's what it suggests is another perpetrator.
And to be clear, from the documents, I don't remember the name or the company. That was from Bill Thompson's, DNA expert or the lab or whatever that the state used. They conclusively eliminated Kohlberger from being part of that DNA. So
yeah, and somebody got a good point. I mean, we don't need to spend a lot of more time with the photos. Somebody's got a great point. You can't. How do you tell me one person fights Xana and Ethan, that blood all over the floor, and their shoe isn't covered in blood, and when they walk, they're leaving footprints all over that house or either room? There's no way you're not getting blood on your shoe, on the bottom of your shoe, and tracking that all over the place. But we only see one latent footprint in the whole place. And again, the defense said there was evidence of a cleanup. Somebody had cleaned up and spent time cleaning up the place. So, but the lack of footprints tells you something too. There's no way you have that much blood, especially in Ethan and Xana's room, and don't bring footprints out. So something stinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, and I see it being echoed in the chat as well. In my opinion, just a single perpetrator does not make sense in this crime. It just doesn't make sense, especially somebody with no history of violent crime. And I've said it for a long time, and it's been talked about quite a bit. My feeling for a long time has been that Kohlberger is a patsy, but either willing or an unwitting patsy, in my opinion. So
yeah,
I think a lot of the redactions could be related to the fact that there is in fact a cover up, and that it's, in my opinion, it's possible that Kohlberger was working for the feds. I mean, I really think that that theory holds a lot of water because it explains all the redactions. It explains all the inconsistencies and essentially lies that we've been told about what happened. The car not matching up. It explains a lot of things, in my opinion. But, whatever. I just think it's one of those two scenarios. He's either being framed straight up, unwittingly, or he was working in some capacity for the feds.
Yeah, and I wanted to. I'm trying to, while we're talking, I'm trying to get, for Dago's sake in particular, to show real quick one more thing we talked about earlier in the night, which is that other room down on the bottom floor, the room that may have been used by Kaylee Gonzalez to do her work in a little work room, and how they also focused on the Fire Stick and that TV, which I find is super interesting.
I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to show on the screen real quick. We'll try to go through this, I believe, is ground floor. Staircase on the left leading up to the second floor, and then from there up to the third floor. This is the ground floor. This is the room that may have been, now this is either going to be Bethany's room, or it's going to be the room that was used as kind of like a work location. But as we go into it and we get closer and closer and to see this room, they focus on this TV, they focus on the back of the TV and the Fire Stick, they close in on the Fire Stick, and they evidence tech the Fire Stick. And that, I believe, is possibly the room that Kaylee said she worked in for her work. So why are they obsessed with Kaylee's room with a million pictures of her room and photograph the Fire Stick in the back of her TV? And then down here in the room that she may have used for work, they photograph the Fire Stick and tag it in the TV. Makes you wonder what the hell was going on there.
Yeah, Amanda says that's Bethany's room.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
There's a little pink
Okay.
hat.
There's a pink
So-
hat.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
everything I just said, I'm an asshole. So then you would say they're not singling out Kaylee, but they are interested in the Fire Sticks,
Right.
if that's Bethany's room. And we believe it's Bethany's room because of the pink hat.
Yeah, that was her hat.
And the blinds, yeah.
Yeah, the blinds
another-
and everything.
There's another room they show.
Yeah, they do show the other room though.
See,
I
once
think-
again, you're reminding me why I should vet things even better before I go
Yeah.
live. I think that's it right there.
I think the other room is the work room.
Yeah.
The one
So-
that has like a monitor on the shelf.
Oh, was I even showing it, or did I not show the pictures?
Now
I looked
you're-
up to the screen and
right now you're not.
okay, there's nothing else to see. I don't think so.
Okay.
So that's it, guys. We're at 2 hours. I said we were going to wrap up early because we have a little bit of some business to do as a panel after the show. But I don't want to leave it on a like drop it like a hot potato. But what do you guys think about the crime scene photos? What's your initial impression? Let me ask the panelists this question: are the photos we just seen indicative to what you would imagine is what they told us happened, a quadruple homicide in the house? Does it feel like that is now evidence that it was a quadruple homicide? It happened the way they said it did?
No.
Dago's shaking his head. No. What are you thinking, Dago? What's your problems? You're muted.
There's a lot. There's a lot that's not right. I've seen somebody asked me in the chat a little bit ago. I don't want to say too much, but somebody asked me in the chat a little bit ago if I've seen scenes worse than that, and I had to answer yes. Or
Yeah.
I've seen scenes worse than Maddie's bedroom for one person, let alone what I saw for four. I'll just say that.
Mm-hmm.
Now Xana's bedroom is a disaster. There was a fight in that room, in my opinion. There's blood all over that room. I feel that Kaylee very well could have been killed in that room or right outside of that room, possibly, and taken back upstairs, in my opinion. That could explain all of the blood that is on the landing going to the third floor and the railing going up to the third floor. If they had to carry her up there and she was bleeding profusely, that explains. And all you see really is the pillow her head was laying on. It looks like as though she was bleeding out on that pillow. And then I think she might have still possibly been moving around, and the spatter on the wall that is next to where she was laying, I believe somebody was unfortunately, and again, trigger warning, my apologies, hitting her with causing blunt force trauma, which is where the spatter comes from. And as it looks to me, I don't know, one could probably reiterate or disagree. It looks as though she was hit from maybe the left side, and it shoved her face this way, and it hit the wall. The spatter hits the wall that direction. This is again my opinion. I may be wrong, but that's how I see it possibly.
So real quick, somebody wanted to see Kaylee's workroom, and I don't see that they ever photographed Kaylee's workroom. So if this is indeed Bethany's room, but there is one more thing I wanted to point out to you. One more thing about
they did.
I didn't see it.
I don't.
They
we went
showed
through
it
earlier. Yeah, it's in this batch of photos somewhere.
If you can find it, let me go to the page. But let me show
it earlier.
Okay, I want to show it because somebody asked me to show it. But what I wanted to point out is one more thing in Bethany's room. This right here on the chair in Bethany's room is a Steelers jersey. Doesn't mean a whole lot other than if you know, there's one person in the house that traditionally wore a Steelers jersey. She and her family are Steelers fans, and that's Xana. So Xana's Steelers jersey, it looks like, is there. Now, I don't know. Did Bethany also have a Steelers jersey? I don't know. Maybe being friends or something like that. Maybe they whatever. But I just thought it was also interesting that a Steelers jersey is down in Bethany's room, if that's Bethany's room as well.
Amanda said it's towards the end.
Well, I went all the way to the end. I'm going to go all the way to the end.
Let's see.
So here's the end, and this is underneath some stairs. I'm going to back up from here, looking underneath the stairs. So is this little room with the little stairs, is that the workroom? But you don't see anything.
No, that's not it.
Okay, I'm going to back up some more. Backing up some more. So now we're in Bethany's room with the
yeah.
This is all Bethany's room, I think, if you're saying that's Bethany's, right? This is all Bethany's room. I'm still working backwards through the photos. This is all Bethany's room still. And backing up still. That should all still be Bethany's room. There's the pink hat on the wall.
Remember we saw it earlier, and we're like, oh, there's the
look
on the desk.
You can see officers outside processing the scene with the crime. That's interesting. Anyways, no, I don't remember seeing it. That's why I don't remember seeing it. That's why.
Yeah, and it showed, and there was a monitor like on the shelf.
Somebody said number 2635.
Yeah, 2635, right around in there, DA.
Yeah, 2635 shows.
All right, so
the room.
Here we go.
Yep.
That's the monitor inside the room.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
it. That's it. That's the room.
Okay.
And then
so this
on the
is
desk
this
is another. Yeah, on the desk there's a desk that's going to show another computer. That's the monitor.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder why those doors are off the closet.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too.
See?
So that's the work area.
There.
Yeah.
There's a book that it looks like, I would imagine that was Kaylee's book. It's about leadership. It's by a best-selling author.
Dare to Lead.
Brene Brown.
She was, yeah. No, I was going to make a comment, but
okay.
I thought better of it.
So there is the room. So yeah, so I for the millionth time I was wrong. The Fire Stick is not in the work computer that supposedly was used by Kaylee. It's apparently in Bethany's room. It is interesting. Still, it is interesting that police evidence tagged both the Fire Sticks. I don't know what that means exactly, other than, like you said, were they looking for login information? Were they looking to see if somebody was, I don't know, at the house by logging into it, or were they looking to see activity, to see who logged in to watch TV? So, yeah, so there you go. Somber night, difficult photos. Thanks for watching. You guys, let's go around the horn and see if you guys got any last comments. Let's start at the top. Robin, do you have any thoughts, comments about tonight's disturbing crime scene photos?
Yeah, like I said, it is very sobering to watch this, but it's important because this shows without a doubt how many inconsistencies we have been told since this case first started. It is not indicative of a lone incel who just happened upon this house and could go in there and within like 10 minutes or so, murder violently these 4 young people. I mean, this is a tragedy beyond nightmarish, and um, this isn't, we're not here for clickbait. This is to show people you have to question everything. And we can't just take things at face value, and this just proves it.
Yeah. Well said. One thoughts.
Thanks everyone for being part of us. This is important stuff, and sometimes it's hard to go through some of these pictures and remember that 4 young people at the start of their life, basically, taken away so quickly. It really makes you think, how precious life is. And the thing is with these photos, just it's so hard to, they cause more aggravation and more nonsense because they don't label the stuff correctly. And you see how annoyed and how frustrated we get. I mean, I can't even imagine what they threw at Ann Taylor. So I know a lot of people like jumped on the bandwagon of attacking Ann Taylor. I mean, she may have just done the best that she was able to with what she had, but I don't believe that obviously the story that we have been told is what happened. After seeing these pictures and more of the bedrooms, I do believe that Ethan and Xana most likely fought for their life and were, maybe something started outside. That's very possible, but I do believe that there is enough evidence that shows that they definitely did take their last breath in that bedroom. When it comes to Kaylee and Maddie, I don't see enough evidence from, we don't have the full. It'd be nice to get the full autopsy reports, and we could really kind of match things. Interesting, right? That they don't want to give that to us. There's a lot of stuff there. Some stuff seems to match kind of what Dylan said. I could see that maybe Kaylee tried to lock herself in the bathroom. Someone kicked the door in. Kaylee tried to run downstairs. I don't see how, matching what JJ brought up, I don't see how one person would be able to do all this in such a short time. There's just way too much that, went on. So I do think Kaylee was killed someplace else. Was she killed, maybe she was killed right near, outside Dylan's bedroom there, or close to Ethan and Xana, but she definitely did not die. She definitely wasn't killed in that. I don't believe in that bed, in Maddie's bedroom. So, we'll keep fighting away. Keep fighting away. No.
Along that lines, and I don't want to, because we're kind of wrapping up, but along that lines, I keep going back to something Dylan said originally to one of the officers, is that she said Kaylee was on the 2nd floor. And then later they were like, oh, she must have been wrong. She was on the 3rd floor. So if you go to those two ideas together, I think Kaylee could have been killed in another room of the house or somewhere else and then moved upstairs. Right. Is that why Dylan said she thought Kaylee was on the 2nd floor? Because Kaylee might have been on the 2nd floor and might be part of that bloodbath on the 2nd floor and then was moved up to the 3rd floor. And then you have to ask why. We won't get into that. We don't have time for the why. Yeah. But it does make you wonder, was she ever on the 2nd floor when it started? Joe, what do you got?
Yeah, forgive me for stating the obvious, but we haven't been told the truth about this crime. And it brings up the question, why? Why have the public been lied to? And so if you can look at specific things, and we know that we have not been given the correct information about those, then it's a logical assumption that we haven't been told the truth about many other things as well. And so the question that I keep going back to is why? What are they keeping from the public? And if you can raise questions about little things along the way and many inconsistencies, well, then how can you believe any of the official story? Because if they would lie about all these different things, then why would you think they were telling the truth about anything? And so I mean, I know that's not a groundbreaking take, but it just, as far as I'm concerned, I think there's so many potential scenarios that could have happened. But since we're not getting the truth, it's hard to know how big the lies are, the magnitude of the lies.
Yeah, and I think again, well said. I think if you can prove, and I don't know that anybody's convinced, but if you can prove that they lied about one thing, then who's to say they didn't lie about a bunch of things? Like if they're going to lie about any part of this case, how much did they lie about? So the question becomes is anybody convinced 100% that they have lied about something? Or does it seem, and I'm not going to, that's rhetorical. We're not going to answer that. But if you think that they lied about one thing, who's to say they're not lying about a bunch of things? So it's a good question. Dago, what do you got?
I pretty much ditto to what everybody said. I definitely don't at this point believe that Kaylee was killed in that bedroom. I think she was killed even somewhere along in between the third floor and the second floor, maybe in front of Dylan's bedroom door. And I think she was taken up there, placed in bed. Maybe she wasn't completely deceased at that point. She was maybe still moving around a little bit or something, and they finished her off there possibly. But I don't believe that there was anything anywhere near like what we were told at that point in that bedroom at all, in my opinion.
Yeah. And let me close with a sobering thought. And again, I'm going to ask my panelists to stay on after we close the live backstage. But keep in mind, Idaho State Police dropped these photos today, and within hours they pulled them back off the public website. So something, it feels like maybe we weren't supposed to see. Was it an accident? Why did they pull them again? I will tell you this. Again, we hinted at it earlier. There is one image in that 2,000 something images that appears to maybe show an actual person. It's disturbing. Once you see it, it's hard to see. You'd have to really look for it. Once you see it, you won't unsee it. So I warn you on that. Is that the reason why they pulled it? Could that be the entire reason? Did they pull the whole package because they're like, holy shit, that you showed a little bit of a person's face and body in that picture, get that out immediately? And did they pull the whole thing? Will it come back on? And will that photo have been redacted? If the $1 million question is, when it comes back, will it be the same package, and what's changed? So give that some thought. With that, everybody, thank you, and hope that you have a good night. We will, on the Discord channel, by the way, we have a section in the Discord channel for crime scene photos. I'll try to put a link, because it was a huge file, wasn't it? One gig. One gig. It's 1 gig file, which is too big to host on our Discord server. But we can host a link to a share drive where it's at, and you can get access to it. So anybody with a link can access it. We'll put that on our Discord channel. I'm sure lots of other channels have also made the link available to people because it has been pulled down, and now you have to get it from people who were quick enough to grab it, like our team. Yay, our team, and yay, Dago's team, grabbing the files while they were up, so that when they pulled that shit, we still had it. So there you have it. All right. Oh, and Amanda said it's already there. Holy shit, Amanda's on fire. Amanda's already got it up on our Discord.
We have ours in our Discord as well.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you. Great panel tonight. Thank you, everybody. Again, panelists, stay after for just a little bit, and everybody else have a great evening.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.